You're about to enter the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
We gotta have attitude today, boys.
The Rebels bring a tude and a tone against Utah State. A wild game from start to finish that came down to the very end. We've got all the action and the reaction as the Reb Zone is ready to take off.
Somebody lock me up! Boom!
This is the Reb Zone Sports Show, only on Fox 5.
Good evening. Welcome inside the Reb Zone as we break down an entertaining but very frustrating game against Utah State. Kevin Bulliter alongside head football coach Bobby Houcken. I think frustration really is the word because you guys outplayed them.
Yeah, it was a great game. Obviously, it was a well-played football game. Two good teams going at it, and it's a dang shame one of us had to lose, especially when it was us. But heck of a football game, and we're going to have fun talking about it today. Obviously, we played really well. They played really well, and it was right down to the last seconds of the game, obviously.
Well, let's start looking at this one, beginning with the first half. Slow starts had been the norm this season, but yesterday the Rebels fired from the beginning in a solid first half of football.
We gotta have attitude today, boys. Somebody lock me up! Boom! No, man! From start to finish, we in their ass. Let's go. Win it. Win on three. 1, 2, 3, win!
The Rebels were looking to get off to a rare fast start, and the defense set the tone on the first drive. The fumbled snap, and Mark Garrick is there to recover for UNLV at their own 42. Caleb Herring patiently drove the Rebels down the field with a mix of run and pass, then hit Marcus Sullivan for the 10-yard touchdown to give UNLV a quick 7-0 lead. In the second quarter, Utah State got on the board. On 3rd and goal from the 5, freshman quarterback Daryl Garrettson scrambles and finds Sean Johnson for the score to tie things up at 7. On the ensuing kickoff, Sullivan gets free and is off to the races, but he's knocked out at the 20-yard line. The drive stalled in the red zone, and the Rebels had to settle for a 29-yard Nolan Cohorst field goal to make it 10-7. Utah State used the Wildcat more than usual, and in the red zone, it is Bruce Natson who takes the snap. He turns the corner for the touchdown and the 14-10 lead for the Aggies. UNLV would drive back deep into Aggie territory, and on 4th down and 8, the fake field goal. Cohorst, though, is dragged down for an 11-yard loss. The face mask penalty is not called, and UNLV turns the ball over on downs. The defense, though, would clamp down, and Tyler Gaston sacked Garrettson to force a punt. Herring then went back to work and goes downfield where Sullivan makes a great grab for a 1st and goal at the 8. Tim Cornette did the rest, working his way to pay dirt to give UNLV the lead back. Late in the first half, 2 key things happened. Rebels safety Frank Crawford was injured and had to be helped into the locker room, and the defense made a late goal line stand. UNLV went into halftime with momentum, up 17-14, only the second time this season they've led at the break. Well, you stressed getting out to a fast start. That is something that UNLV has not done this season, but it looks like both sides of the ball came together and did it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started with the defensive stops. Obviously, there were some good things going on in terms of, kind of a go-for-it game. Both teams going for it on 4th down and fake field goal, good kickoff return, all those things that added up to us being up by 3 at half. And certainly our guys were fired up with their effort, and so was I.
Last week against San Jose State, you talked about the defensive line missing a lot of their gap assignments. That seemed to be solved. And the other thing that was key was getting pressure on the freshman quarterback Garrettson. They did both those things.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we played well up front. The thing that we didn't do well enough is when we had the quarterback in our hands or in our gun sights, we didn't finish the play often enough. Now we had 4 sacks last night, and that was great, but we probably had a chance for 5 or 6 more where we had him really kind of in our grasp and let him get away. He's pretty slick and runs pretty well, but in general, I really like the way our front 7 played.
Take us through the decision to go for the fake field goal rather than get points on the board.
Well, a couple of things. Obviously, we watch a lot of film, and in that position, you know, we felt like we had a good play. It was about 8 out of 10 on our breakdown, and you know, we needed to get the edge rusher to bite one more step. As you're watching this, you know, there's no one left. We're going to block this guy out the back of the end zone. That's a touchdown if we can get him to bite one more step. We got everybody else fooled. He saw it at the last minute and was able to make the play.
Now, one thing that Utah State did that they had not really done a lot this season was run the Wildcat offense. Surprised that they added that wrinkle in, not coming off of a bye week.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they had it. They had put that number 9 in the backfield some, and it was a part of their plan. Most of the time, they were shifting him out into the slot and going from a 2-back look to a 1-back look. The Wildcat was not this big in terms of their game plan, but they used it pretty effectively last night, obviously. And when you saw Crawford get hurt, and we had a few injuries where we missed some guys, and in the second half we had a little bit of trouble getting that lined up with guys that hadn't played as much.
Well, this game was tight right down to the very end as the second half turned into a nail-biter.
UNLV had the ball to start the second half with a chance to open up a 2-score lead. But on 3rd and goal from the 5, Utah State's Devin Lawson makes a nice play and picks off Herring in the end zone. The Rebels walked away empty-handed. Late in the 3rd quarter, the Aggies retake the lead as Joey DiMartino goes around the left side for the 1-yard score, and it was 21-17 Utah State heading into the 4th quarter. The Rebel offense went right back to work. Watch Cornette bob and weave his way inside the 10, but he came up with a hurt ankle on the play. On 3rd and goal at the 4, it's Micah Mataele finding the end zone, and UNLV was back on top of this seesaw game 24-21. Utah State went back to the Wildcat, and once again, Natson proved to be elusive as he races in from 12 yards out. It was 28-24 Aggies with 3:56 left. The Rebels had one last drive in them. On 3rd and 21, Herring throws one up, and Davis makes an incredible grab for 34 yards. That moved the ball into Aggie territory. Later in the drive, 3rd and 10, and Sullivan gets the first down catch at the 16 with 35 seconds left. The Rebels took 4 straight shots at the end zone, 3 of the passes out of bounds with no chance of being caught, including this one on 4th down. The late game heroics fall short, and UNLV walks away with a frustrating 28-24 loss.
In that situation, you know, you want to be the winner. Obviously, as a competitor, you want to make the play that puts your team up. And you know, tonight it definitely hurts a little bit because we weren't able to do that.
We had a great game plan going in for them, and we played hard, but no more victories. They beat us, and it hurts.
All right, the final drive, you have 1st and 10 at the 16, 35 seconds, and 3 timeouts. Why 4 shots at the end zone there?
Well, the ball's not just designed to take a shot at the end zone. We're going to pass, obviously, and there's 4 guys out in the route. We've got 6 in protection, and the ball goes where it goes. And we had some underneath routes get grabbed up a little bit and not be able to get open. And so we took his shots at the outside receivers. And, it's been good to come up with one of those, obviously.
The last drive aside, in the red zone, it seemed like the play calling was fairly conservative. A lot of Cornette up the middle, not going outside the tackles at all. Is that something that you maybe would like to see open up a little bit more? Because 4 of 7 coming out of the red zone obviously is not going to win you games.
Yeah, they're the best red zone defense in our league. And in fact, leading our league in every statistical category in defense. And we took our shots when we thought we had them, and we ran the ball when we thought we had a run game. And a lot of that's check game based on what they're giving us. So we're going to take what they give us, and that's good offense.
Tim Cornette was in beast mode yesterday, running as hard as he has all season. A lot of yards after first contact. He drugged the pile with him a lot. The injuries at the end obviously slowed him down and maybe changed your game plan, but that's as good as we've seen him run.
Yeah, he ran the ball well. back to Utah State's defense, they're not giving up much in the run game, and we ran the ball as successfully against them as anybody has all year, and that includes some pretty good football teams. And I was impressed with our offensive line play and our running backs, especially Tim. They played really physical, and I think they took the fight to the opponent as they needed to, and it just would have been good to complete one more pass in the end zone.
Where are we at injury-wise? This team has been fairly injury-free all year, but Cornette, obviously, the ankle has been hurting him and had to leave the game a few times. And then you have Frank Crawford, a key player on that defensive backfield that went down. Where are these guys at here as we stand on Sunday?
Well, we're banged up right now. I mean, obviously, Sidney Hodge is gone for the season, and Austin Koke's gone for the season. And those are the two main long-term guys. As of Sunday afternoon, we'll have to see what happens with these guys. You can see Frank's on crutches there, and we won't know whether we're going to have him for Air Force or not, probably for a few more days. But we had a lot of guys get banged up last night, and so an open date probably comes at an opportune time.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the bye week preparations for Air Force in just a little bit. But up next in the Reb Zone, I sit down for a one-on-one conversation with Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson. Find out his thoughts on how the conference is set up as college football transitions to a new postseason format. Stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes.
This Raising the Bar moment is brought to you by Born and Raised, the official home of Rebels on the Road.
Late in the game, the Rebels were down 4 and facing a 3rd and 21, but Caleb Herring throws one to the center of the field, and Devontae Davis makes a spectacular catch for the first down to keep the drive alive. Davis gets some elevation for the Rebel Raising the Bar moment.
Craig Thompson has been the commissioner of the Mountain West since its inception and has seen the conference through the ever-changing landscape of college sports. I recently had the chance to sit down with Thompson, and in part one of my interview, we discuss football in the Mountain West, both in the present and the future. What are your thoughts on the Mountain West and where it stands in the overall college playoff conference system right now?
Well, I think we came out positioned very well in the last expansion go-around. We've got people that have been playing each other for decades. Of course, Wyoming, Colorado State is off the charts, 120 years of football history, but a lot of these institutions, I think every series in the league has at least a 15, 20-year run, some of them 50, 60 years, and the aforementioned over a century. So we've got familiarity, we've got a lot of historical relevance, we've got some competitions that the fans know each other, the schools know each other, the coaches may be different, but there's a lot of commonality.
It's inevitable there's going to be more shuffling inside college conferences here in the next 2, 3, maybe 5, 10 years. How's the expansion of the conference really kind of set you guys up for stability when that next big move comes?
Well, geography is probably our biggest friend. There's 24 Division I institutions that are west of the Mississippi. 12 are in the Pac-12, 12 are in the Mountain West. There's a couple independents and a few others. But basically, we're not confined to a particular geographic space, but neither is expansion interested necessarily in coming west because those two conferences are established, and I think we're set for the future. Well, I think what we'll see in the next 12 to 16, 18 months is probably a vetting where there's going to be permissive legislation. If you want to fly recruits in via helicopter, if you want to bring mom and dad on an official visit, you're going to be allowed to. It doesn't mean you have to, but you can do it if you want. And basically there's going to be 10 college football playing conferences, FBS subdivision, that are going to be under the same umbrella, and the rules will be the same, but some may be able to afford to do these things and others may not. And that's probably where it's going to end out. I don't think there's an interest, I know there's not an interest in taking my ball and going home, that those 5 conferences break away and start a Division IV, because then you've got to get into a whole new structure of compliance and championships and rules enforcement. finances, et cetera, and you're going to have some kind of a substructure. There is a substructure there. The other thing that's going to bind everybody together is there are 350 some schools in a 10-year contract with the NCAA with CBS and TBS for the basketball championship. There's 10 conferences and Notre Dame that are signatories to a, hasn't even started yet, nearly $7 billion college football playoff. A lot of lawsuits happening if we try to break those two contracts.
You mentioned the football playoff. With that coming into play here, where does the Mountain West stand in terms of getting consistently their best team, maybe even their best two teams into that system if they have a really good season?
Great shape, great shape. In the last 14 years, the Mountain West, or current Mountain West members that were in other leagues at the time, Boise State, Fresno State, Hawaii, 11 of the last 14 years, current Mountain West members were the highest rated champion of those conferences. I think more often than not, the Mountain West will be playing in a host game in a New Year's Eve bowl game or New Year's Day bowl game, and that we have a great opportunity that in the past we had to finish in the top 16 and in some cases the top 12. Now we did meet that mark several times with many of our members in the past and played in 4 BCS bowl games, but now the road is a little less bumpy.
Will the revenue sharing system be in place like it is for the BCS for teams in the conference in terms of getting a piece of the pie if one of the other teams in the conference goes into that playoff system and gets a good piece of money? Absolutely.
The BCS bowls, let's call it the College Football Playoff Bowl, that's what it'll be called, will have an opportunity to go into the general bowl funding, and our intention here and our rules allow that those participating in bowls, we try to make them whole and get their expenses covered before any money is shared. And so that money, and if the Mountain West is the highest rated conference and we have a champion participating in host bowl, it could be as much as $25 million annually.
So it has been unstable over the past few years. What are your thoughts on how the Mountain West is positioned right now in college football?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting for me to listen to the commissioner talk because, you know, especially this time of year, but a lot of the year we're kind of immersed in our own world, and you know, those guys spend their time discussing and researching and kind of getting a real feel for how things are going. So it's interesting to hear his take on it. He's kind of the expert on it. And you know, I'm kind of like you. Every time in the last couple of years I've thought I knew what was going to transpire, it was going the other direction in about a month or two. So who knows what'll go on.
The revenue sharing is important, though, for a school like UNLV that doesn't have a big football budget. If they get 1 or 2 teams into this new playoff system, we're talking a lot more money that helps supplement that football program.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's money drives the thing, especially in college football. You have to invest in it, and you have to have something to spend. And you know, for us, if you just look at it, playing a Big Ten school and a Pac-10 school this year on our schedule, I mean, they've got in the range of $25 to $30 million a year coming in just from their TV contract. It's not a fair comparison between us and them. So anytime we can supplement and add revenue to our programs and our conference, it's a big deal.
Well, we're going to switch gears right now in the Reb Zone to basketball, where the Runnin' Rebels open the season on Friday. Straight ahead, a look back at the opening night win against Portland State, plus find out what the team has to say about getting things going. Stick and stay. More Reb Zone on the way.
You're watching the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
This is the time of year where football and basketball overlap, and the Runnin' Rebels tipped off the regular season on Friday night against Portland State. In the second half, fans caught a glimpse of what this team's capable of.
A renewed spirit and energy at the Thomas & Mack as the regular season tipped off. Right out of the gate, transfer and Las Vegas native Kevin Olakebe came up big as the Cimarron grad delivered a lay-in and a 3 for the early Rebel lead. Then the alley-oop to Kem Birch had the Mac rocking. Portland State, though, would not go away, getting the basket and the foul to take the lead midway through the first. That's when Roscoe Smith took over. On the breakaway, he throws it down and shows some skills both inside and outside. The Rebels had a 1-point lead at the half. UNLV came out on fire in the second half and used pressure defense and good shot selection to open up an 11-point lead. On the break, Roscoe Smith gets the hoop and the harm. Then Olekabe heated up again, hitting back-to-back threes. Kem Birch delivered 13 points and 17 rebounds. Roscoe Smith also with a double-double. Dave Rice got the most of his team in the second half as the Runnin' Rebels run away 67-48.
We challenged our group at halftime. We did not have the necessary team energy in the first half, and I thought our bench gave us a huge lift. In the second half, we were energetic.
We just got to come out with more intensity, so we just have put together 2 good halves, and once we know how to work together and put together 2 good halves, then we'll be a dangerous team to deal with.
One last break. We've got the Rebel Plays of the Week coming up, but first, here's a look at how other teams in the Mountain West did in Week 11 of the college football season.
You're watching the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Well, as we give you the plays of the week for the Rebels right now, we want to talk a little bit about what the plan is here. 10 days to prepare for Air Force with that bye week and a crucial game coming up.
Well, we have 2 big games coming up to finish the regular season, and we need to get freshened up this week. We've got to focus on school. We've got to get our guys, make sure they're on track academically, and get ourselves ready to go for a tough Air Force squad.
It is going to be a big, big game going for Win 6 and bowl eligibility. We'll be previewing that game next week in the Reb Zone. We'll also have Dave Rice in talking about Runnin' Rebels college basketball. Thanks for joining us in the Reb Zone tonight. We'll see you next week.